So some people are saying that as far as some of the better told stories in this universe, people are happy to see season 2 of Andor.
Starts now.
Oh, Andor is still fucking thing. So this is hailed as one of the most critically praised shows because I believe, this is just me, it's telling a more mature story.
Yeah.
It's not trying to sell a bunch of toys. It's not actually trying to do a bunch of nostalgia. No one's talking about the Force in this. You don't see any nostalgic characters popping up, except in where this is from, Rogue One. Yes, you did, but that was up to the very end.
Yeah.
And then, of course, well, the Death Star and everything.
Yeah, everything leading to the Death Star.
Yeah. And plus, this is a prequel where, if you don't know Rogue One, Andor is the character that was responsible. Him and a team gave their lives to find the blueprints to the Death Star so that the rebels could actually go in and blow it up. Of course, when you have something that's doing what this is doing, and this is very ambitious what it's doing, if you ask me, with the state of Star Wars today, there's always going to be something controversial that comes up. It's going to get to a point where you're going to do something to piss somebody off. And there is a controversy going on with Andor right now. What that controversy is, you don't even know yet.
No.
But I'm going to bring it up to you. Well, I did tell you, but you don't really know what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know the details of this.
We're going to get to that. So all I can say is, some of you already know, there's a controversy that happened with Episode 3. There was an incident that made some Star Wars fans feel like, nah, that should not be here. Some other fans, though, it's split. The other half says, that was good. It's about time you tried to do something like that. We're long overdue for this kind of storytelling. So we're going to talk about that controversy, see, the points that people are making on both sides.
Okay.
And also talk about why people are doing this, because I believe that there are a few specific reasons why people are just shocked by this.
Okay.
And it's because I think they've been trained a certain way to think about Star Wars. And there are factors in there that have led to that. We'll explore those. But before we do that, I think it'd be kind of cool to talk about the season itself briefly and talk about what we think of the quality of the show so far. You've seen how many episodes now?
4, yeah.
And how are you feeling about this season?
I feel like it's picking up where it left off, where it's all, man, it's just showing the dirty business of living under the Empire and what it's like to have, their boot on your neck, and really what it is to have a rebellion. I think it's so much not what we think of as Star Wars and more what we think of as life today.
Fascism?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things about Andor. They've made authoritarianism and fascism cute and funny. They've made it to where we can sell toys behind it.
Oh, you mean Star Wars?
Star Wars has, yeah. And maybe America one day, the way we're going. But yeah, it's always been played up as adventurous and fun, and we've even tailored it to family friendly now. This is looking at really the dark side of that fascist universe. Of just how oppressive it is. Yeah. And you can only do that through some darker and slightly more mature storytelling.
Well, it's also showing, that, Kate, to combat something like this, the heroes are not always going to be completely good. They got to do dirty stuff too.
Oh yeah, in Rogue One, Andor did something I thought was completely dirty.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, and it showed just how ruthless he had to be to protect himself, because protecting himself meant that he was protecting the mission. And he was, let's keep in mind, he also said, listen, I ain't doing anything I wouldn't do myself. That is die. Spoiler alert for y'all who haven't seen Rogue One. He was willing to sacrifice himself and anybody that got in his way.
And that has not changed.
It really has not, man.
It's a funny thing, because this is a prequel to Rogue One, which is a prequel to A New Hope. But so often with prequels, the problem is you don't have tension because, well, you know how it's going to end. Yeah. And somehow with this, they've made the tension still there. It's a thing where, yes, we know what the fate is of these people, but they are here and they kind of know.
No, exactly. And you know, I see it's things like that that I admire about this show. You know, I like a lot of things that they're doing here with this show. But you know, I think that as far as, and I don't want to be a downer with this, but the show for me, I think it still has some of the problems that the first season had for me. And I want to be behind this show fully because I think Star Wars and Star Wars fans need this and deserve this, especially Star Wars fans who have felt like I have for a while, who, you know, you're not even really that much of a fan anymore because the quality has been poor. You know, the quality of the show. Okay, so what I think with this is that I think this has the same problem as last season for me, where there's so many storylines going on, so many different storylines going on in each episode.
Yeah.
You know, there's about 4 different storylines happening. And I think they're all pulling at each other in a way I don't think we are able to really. For me, no, I can't say we. For me,
you're not at a point where you're seeing how they can converge. With
and
each
they
other.
might later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I'm waiting for that point, but right now, I feel like I just need to spend a little more time in at least one storyline, a little bit more. Like there's one that is, I'm kind of bored with right now, and that's the story of the girl that's getting married.
Yeah, yeah.
That one right there is really throwing me off. I'm not interested in that storyline, but there are scenes. I don't think these storylines flow into each other very well as of yet. And again, that's just me.
Yeah.
But I think it slows down the pacing, and and like I said, I think they could do a better job at just making
I can agree with you.
Connect a little bit better.
Yeah, from that.
Yeah, okay, cool. And I'm not saying that this is even a bad thing, and maybe at some point down the line they will flow a little bit better. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy certain scenes that pop up. I sometimes scenes pop up and I just don't even know how they're connecting.
Yeah.
One scene that popped up had me laughing so hard because it has the actress Katherine Hahn.
Oh yeah, yeah. Catherine Hunter.
I'm sorry, Katherine Hunter. And the reason why it's so funny is because it was a Star Wars version of another movie.
We're fascinated by the things we don't understand. A young, delicate boy with only a mother's love and determination.
You know, this is the Star Wars version of that movie, The Front Room.
Right.
except with a woman who ain't as vile and nasty and ugly as she was in that movie.
I realize I do not know my granddaughter's name.
We're gonna name her Fern.
Not a plant you got growing in there?
It's the same. It's the same setup. It's the same situation almost. It's just that this character in this movie, she's just shitting and pissing herself all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank God in this show she wasn't.
I gotta say, in Andor, I just love every time she comes on.
Oh, her?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I do too. Now, can you tell me how, like, because in a way it just feels like sometimes, I'm sure it's setting up the character of the son. I'm sure it's
Cyril.
I'm sure it's setting him up, and it's going to pay off somewhere later. You know, his mom, the way his mom talks about him being such a mama's boy and everything. I'm sure that's going to pay off in some kind of way later. But right now, this seems like it's just kind of out of nowhere for me at this moment. I still enjoy the scene though.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like things are building with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, between, I mean, he fucked up pretty bad in the first season.
Yeah, he sure did.
Between pressure from his mom, pressure from the Empire, pressure from his girlfriend. He's got a lot going on, and he has the rebels at Gorman trying to say, like, I think we can turn him over to our side. So he's a real big X factor. Like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Because at first it seemed like, oh, he's Empire through and through. He's a kiss ass. But there's a lot going on now where you're like, I do wonder which way is he gonna go?
Yeah. I can see where that's gonna. This is set up for pretty much as exposition for his character, give him more depth on just how much of a fuck up he is. We can see why, his boy.
Well, his mom was telling him his whole life. Then, you never got anything right.
Yeah, no, that's it, and it explains a lot about his character too.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. And you don't like him except when she's there dogging on him. You're like, damn, I kind of feel bad for him now.
I'll probably have to edit this in later, but that scene, I like that scene, and there's a couple of storylines that I like here. that planet that all those people are stranded on, and the way that shit blew up and they turned on each other immediately, and they just start blasting each other, and Andor's just sitting back thinking like, good, yeah, I can use this. That took me off guard.
Yeah.
When they just start shooting each other, and I thought, okay, this whenever they come back to this storyline, I love this.
Yeah.
Maybe because I also love. Because I love Andor himself, man. I think anything that has Andor in it, I love that character because Andor is just, to me, he's such a badass. He's the new Han Solo for me. You know, he doesn't have the swagger like that. He's a little more serious,
Yeah.
a little more focused. You know, where Han Solo was selfish and about himself in Star Wars, you know, this guy's, like I said, he's really sacrificed for the bigger mission,
Yeah.
and he's very focused on that. But you know, just that badassery about him.
Yeah.
I love when Andor is, and plus Diego Luna is just great. He's great as that character. I've always liked him as an actor. But the other storyline I liked, and this is where we're going to get into the controversy, is the I guess the farm planet,
Yeah.
the farming compound or whatever.
Yeah.
Where first of all, I like that because the Empire's coming in and they're rounding up undocumented migrants.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, very relevant.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if they were. I don't even know if they were writing this at the time to make a direct statement
Yeah.
about what's going on right now. But it fits,
Yeah.
and I don't think it comes across as well in some of the more family-friendly type Star Wars properties. You know, it feels dark for us right now, and I think it needs to be portrayed dark by assholes like this, which is what we're going to get into. So let's get into the controversy here. So I was shocked when I saw this because the controversy is all about a violence by an Imperial officer, which I keep putting on right here. You know, and see, there's a lot of people who are upset about this. And even I was taken off guard because my man was constantly creeping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if you've seen the episode, which we're talking about in a spoilery way, my man was constantly creeping, and I thought, okay, well that's fine. They're insinuating that this guy has the potential to be probably being kind of creepy.
It's a beautiful ride over the fields. You'd like to join me?
I'm not sure my husband would approve.
You know, I just thought this man ain't got no game. I thought he has the potential to do like probably some kind of crazy stuff, but we're not gonna see it here. He's just kind of a loser and a simp, and he's gonna go about his way.
If you were a woman, you would immediately know what he was up to.
Oh yeah, well, you know what? He showed me, didn't he?
Please.
I thought that was him beating her ass right there. That music came up. You know, and if you've seen the show, after that, it does get horrendously violent. I didn't expect it to get as violent as it did. I didn't expect it to be an actual aggressive rape like that.
Oh,
It
really?
No, I didn't know. And I'll tell you why. I mean, this is the reason why a lot of people are shocked. It's Star Wars.
Oh.
Star Wars. So here's why I think that this is so controversial. A lot of people are shocked by this, even if you like it. Like listen, no, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
but I think as far as you don't understand, you know, fascism. Part of the means of control with that is sex and rape,
Yeah.
forcing yourself on people in many ways,
Yeah.
including sexually.
Yeah. Imposing your will on others.
Yeah. So here's the reason why, and think about this. Here's the reason why it's so controversial, one of them, and the reason why people are shocked by this. We have never seen sex in Star Wars. Star Wars has been sexless. It's been romantic. It's been, look, you've had sexy clothes, sexy, people
Yeah.
objectified, but
Yeah.
you have never had sex
Okay.
in Star Wars.
Okay.
So even, though we're getting like, a guy pretty much forcing himself on a woman for sex here, that's taking people aback with Star Wars.
Oh.
We've never seen it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's just so much of the show so far has just been not a traditional Star Wars that this didn't shock me. I was like, this is the trajectory it's been on this whole time.
Well, I see. I think this is nothing new. The darkness of this. I mean, we already saw it in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And listen, here's something about Star Wars that it's not only that we haven't seen sex in Star Wars, but we've been trained over the years to see Star Wars as something where you don't go there. Listen, we can commit genocide and blow up a whole planet.
Yeah.
You know, we can decapitate people with a lightsaber and cut off arms. But there's just something, it's just like the way we approach sex in society.
Yeah.
You know, here in America, we can watch people with guns shoot each other
Yeah,
all down
yeah,
the screen, but
yeah.
sex, we don't want to ever talk about that.
Right.
But we've been trained to see Star Wars that way. I would say that, yes, Empire Strikes Back, you know, that's a darker film, but because it ends that way. But then we end up like with a happy conclusion.
It all works out in the end.
By the time we got to Return of the Jedi, though, the film those films at that point had become $1 million toy franchises. That is why you didn't see Wookiees, you know, fighting the Empire at the end.
Yeah.
That's why you had teddy bears.
Yeah.
Because teddy bears sell toys.
Yeah.
And so we've been trained over the years to slow boil, look at Star Wars as a family, at most, a family series of films, a family property.
It's a whole section of Disneyland or Disney World.
Yeah. Well, even before it was bought by Disney, when it was still over at 20th Century Fox, before Disney had 20th Century Fox, George Lucas himself was already saying, "I'm going for that money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to start making these more kid friendly.
Yeah.
You know, listen, one person said that immediately when the new movies came out, the prequels.
Oh, muy, I love you.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
No, Mrs. Stay.
Get your ass away from me.
Wow, that compositing looks so bad.
Oh, all of this is bad. That character is bad. That compositing is bad. But you got to keep in mind, man, this is older technology
I know,
too. He was
I
really
know.
experimenting. Jar Jar Binks, that character was specifically created to appeal to kids,
Right. And sell toys.
And sell toys. Now you could say later on, after some blowback on Jar Jar and a few other characters, and after people were saying, you know, this is cool, but we gotta put some edge in here. We did get dark. That's why I was saying that we've been down this path before, where the Revenge of the Sith is not Andor or that level of writing, but it probably went to one of the most gruesome areas in a Star Wars movie we've ever seen. And
God damn, man. Help him.
hell no. You been talking shit this whole time?
No, I mean, just kill him already.
Nah, let his ass burn. You want to talk all that shit? I helped you out. You gonna turn against me? Stay crispy, bitch. But yeah, they kill kids in the movie, but it's insinuated.
Yeah.
We see him burn. The only reason why we see Anakin burn is because that has been such a part of the lore.
Right.
You know, how did we heard about him being burned alive here, and you know, and that's what made him more machine than man. So they had to do that. But even then, Revenge of the Sith is still outside of this, pretty much a family film.
Yeah.
You know, it still can, the kids still can go see it. You know, that's, you know, and now that from that point on, some of your more popular Star Wars properties are animated now.
Yeah.
Even adding more to this. Now, there's some cool storytelling with Clone Wars. And it's not just always, you know, cute and kitty. There's some cool stuff that they do there. But just the stigma of animation. Making, you know, being on like a kid's channel.
Also, they are animated in a way where they look like toys.
Yes. Hey, you might as well make them do stop motion. But yeah, you know, that's why I liked Rogue One so much, man. Rogue One, it got to the point where we got out of that safe zone.
Sure.
And got ambitious enough to tell something that was a little, just slightly, when I say mature, I'm not talking about as rated R or something, but just a little more mature.
Every day they grow stronger.
He means well.
You know, but even with Rogue One, keep in mind, all these movies, no matter how dark they went, no matter how mature they went, one thing was missing. There were always adventure stories.
Yeah.
There was no sex.
Right. Okay.
At all.
Okay.
At all. But Andor, if you want to go there, Andor seems like the place to go.
Yeah.
Because Andor seems like, and this is why when people say this needs to be a kid's property, do you realize that we are dealing with fascism? And now that this is looking like this in the real world, you begin to see how dark that is. Fascism, look, I'm not saying we can't have any kids' Star Wars properties at all. Not at all. We have nothing but.
we have nothing but. I mean, look, if a rape or attempted rape scene showed up in Skeleton Crew, or the Book of Boba Fett, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's this doing here? But this is the platform for that.
Yeah. Rogue One is the only one to really address, like, yeah.
This is what fascism looks like.
Yeah, and this is what fascism looks like in this world right here. It's not anything where the Ewoks don't come out and fight it or anything like that. And listen, I'm sure that they've done stuff in Clone Wars where they've talked about it and whatnot. But I mean, as far as just getting to the real darkness of it, Andor's the one that I think has really done the best job of that.
Oh, absolutely. Because you go back to Star Wars, it's like, well, we gotta fight the Empire because, well, they dress in black all the time.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
they look like bad guys.
Yeah, they goose step sometimes.
Yeah.
Their own way. And so when they did rape here, I was only shocked that they did it because Star Wars has never really gone there before. But as I said, it's part of their oppressive control for the Empire. It seems likely that a fascist would do that, an imperial officer would do that. And it shows just. It really delivers how terrible these people are, and at times how frightening they are. How just they just have, as people who tend to be Nazis and racist and fascists and whatnot. They dehumanize people and they just don't see them as anything else but something to be killed, raped, or controlled, or all of the above. Now, what got me with this, what really got me, I wasn't that shocked by when they. Oh, let me just say this: I wasn't offended when they did it. I was like, okay, cool, we went there. I'm happy you did that. Not happy to see somebody get raped, but I'm happy you did that. But what did get me was just how horny this fool was.
I know.
Man.
I mean, look, that girl's beautiful.
She's beautiful, but
there's no excuse for all this.
He's just that horny. That fool got knocked in the head. And he sat back, and I thought he was going, because there was blood. I thought he was going to do that thing where he just looks at his hand, looks at the blood, and just like, oh, and his head be fractured.
Yeah, because you think he'd be having a seizure right
now.
now.
No, he sat back, got his breath, recovered a little bit, and he's got enough.
Did not have enough.
I was like, wow, is it worth it? Is that ass worth it?
Yeah, I was like, man, Bix is not one to fuck with. She's been through some shit.
And I love that character. That's another reason why I like this part too, because what's her name? Bix. I forgot her name, but I like that character a lot.
Because they tortured her last season.
Yep, they sure did.
And she still has PTSD from that.
Yeah, I like that they kind of addressed that. Bix Colleen, and that's Adria Arjona, who plays her. She's beautiful, and plus she can be fierce. And man, she's been through a lot. So you just kind of like,
go somewhere else.
Kill that dude. Yeah, get out of there and kill that dude. That guy. And man, listen.
Well, especially the way he purported himself in the beginning like he was a nice guy. Like, fuck you and your nice guy shit.
Well, I already knew the moment he came strolling up.
Yeah. Just standing there looking at her. It's like, don't you have a job to do?
Yeah, I got a job to do. All right.
Yeah,
trying to get his ass over here. Great casting on this. I don't know who this guy is, but he's got the perfect face for this.
Yeah. And the woman says like, well, my husband wouldn't appreciate that. That is your cue to leave, whether she's lying or not. Not him.
Yeah, what your husband got to do with me?
Right. I don't see him.
I'm imperial officer. I can do whatever I want to do. I think that, because for those people who say that Star Wars is it's a kid's property, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna argue with anybody over this. You know, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel, entitled to your opinion. I will say my opinion of that's a very selfish attitude to have towards it, because why does it have to be that? We have a show here that proves that it doesn't have to be.
Sure.
Why can't it be like Marvel or DC, where you get your family-friendly stories and then you get stories that are very much mature?
Yeah, you tell different stories. But my thing is, if you watched the first season of Andor and you've gotten to the third episode of the second season, you shouldn't be getting your panties in a bunch over this. You're like, you stuck around long enough to know that this is not a kid's property.
Black McBain says nobody thinks that. There's an article where people are saying that after the scene. Somebody in the chat just said it, that in my opinion, I think Star Wars is a kid's show, our kids' property. I'm not.
Most of the time it is. This time it's not.
Yeah, I'm not saying this just because I'm trying to make Star Wars fans look bad. People think that. I'm responding to that, and people think that again. Like I said, that's their opinion. I'm not arguing with them. It's just that I think that that's a very limited way of thinking. You know, why does anything have to be anything?
Right.
It's the way people back in the day used to think, like, well, if anything's animated, it has to be for kids, because I just can't picture animation being for adults,
Right.
for adults at all. So, you know, I don't want Star Wars to be one thing. I want it to be one thing.
Good.
Well written. Yes, good. Yeah, I just want it to be good. I want it to be well written. I want it to make sense. If good.
It seems like a tall order. There's a lot to ask.
It's almost impossible these days. No, listen, there's some things that are very good. Like Skeleton Crew was fun. And that's a kid's show. And now we have Andor, which is just as good. And, you know, it's and that's something for, you know, more for I hesitate to say adult oriented. Probably like, you know, older teens and adults and whatnot.
Well, after this scene, I think you could comfortably say adults.
It didn't happen. You know,
yeah.
You know, it could be for the young adult or teen crowd. You know, if a 13-year-old saw this, they wouldn't have a problem with that. Is this for people who, you know, kids who want to go out and buy, you know, Baby Yoda? You know, probably not. You know, if you're a 7-year-old kid, the rape scene would be very scary, and it's not for you. Yeah. If you're like 13 or so, yeah, you can handle that. It's still in an area where it's not that dark. Star Wars has not gone Daredevil. You know, it hasn't gone, Peacemaker, Punisher, anything like that, or any of the Netflix shows. It hasn't gone there yet. Could it? I think it could if they really, really wanted to. And just like with Disney, because everybody thought, well, now that Disney got Marvel, they ain't gonna do what Netflix did. They're not gonna do what DC's doing. Shit, if there's money there, they gonna do it.
Right.
You can do it if you want to. I'm not saying you should rush into it. Just tell good stories, but don't limit it to just being a kids thing. And let's not, you know, this whole thing with people being upset about this scene.
There's real stuff to get upset about.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see praise it and all that kind of stuff. We're not doing that here. But if it proves a point and how bad these people are, and it actually reflects what fascism is, like, yeah, go for it. So anyway, that's my opinion. I don't know. What's your opinion?
No, it's the same. I was like, man, there's so many things to actually get upset about. It's like, why would you be upset about an attempted rape scene in a TV show when there's real rape out there that you could be upset about?
Yeah. Now, if you rape Baby Yoda, now we got a problem. You know, that's taking things a little too far.